Still Life with Bread is one of three still lifes that are in the show. I've always been fascinated by still life. I often draw objects in still life. I teach with it, but I had never really tackled it as the subject of the work in one of my paintings. So I had this idea that there was going to be the still life, which is often an interior, intimate, everyday kind of subject. The still life usually, particularly like the Dutch still life, is about the poetry of the everyday. And often it's about the riches that one has, not only the riches of the objects, but the riches of the artist who's able to show off all of his his like skills, like the lemon peel and the translucency and all that. So it has all these things wrapped up in it that's in a seemingly straightforward, simple genre. So I wanted to do that. I wanted to complicate that by placing the interior, the still life, the intimate, as the foreground to something much bigger. So it's both the John Brown story and then something even bigger, which is climate catastrophe. So in Still Life with Bread, there's the loaf of bread, which I actually made. It's one of my own loaves. All the ceramics in the Still Life is my own work. But then you have the fruit, and then the Still Life with Bread has John Brown's head on a platter. So obviously, there's references to John the Baptist and famous beheadings in art, in the art history. But it's also the head as a thing like the loaf of bread that begins to grow, it begins to flower. It's not just a thing it's not just a dead thing, a trophy of war. It is actually a potent magic object that's bringing renewal at the very moment in this sort of plantation kind of table. The floods from outside begin to come in. And so we see this at a moment of flowering and flooding and the stillness of the still life.